9 weeks down, just 3 more weeks to go here in the World GT Championship, and we're down to the business end of this series. And what a tremendous venue we are bringing to you for tonight's race. It's an endurance race from the Ardennes forests in Belgium. It is Spa-Francorchamps, and what better place, Peter, to go for an endurance round of this championship?
Well, it's a circuit that's well known for endurance racing. The annual 24-hour race is one of the races that any driver wants to win, but it's a critical point in this World GT Championship this season. It's so close between two teammates, Alex Davidson and Ross McFarlane, and well, we saw this time last season at Watkins Glen we had an enduro, and that was really a turning point in the championship where it swung in McFarlane's favour. Will the same thing happen tonight? We'll find out.
Well, certainly Ross is one of the kings of the endurance rounds, and he is somebody who is fighting for a 4th championship, so he's really pushing on and trying to get that one. And yeah, certainly it will be a tremendous opportunity for him to try and get that. But Alex Davidson has been on form 2 weeks ago at Phillip Island. Ross really was caught up in other people's incidents and ends up down the order, losing the championship lead.
Yeah, it was a pretty messy round at Phillip Island 2 weeks ago, and yeah, very much roulette on if you got caught up in incidents or not. And Davidson made the absolute most of his opportunities, and that's put him in the lead of the championship. Still a heck of a lot of racing to go though with this enduro, and then the next 2 weeks as well, so plenty to go. I just want to know what the atmosphere is like in the Pure Sims team room, because they're both going for the championship. The team championship is done, they're miles ahead, they can't really be caught. It's certainly very difficult anyway, so it's all down to that driver's title. Gloves are off, let's see.
Well, let's see first of all where we are. So as we see, round number 10, and it's here at Spa-Francorchamps for an endurance round, an hour and 45 race for you today. Then next week we head on over to Silverstone, the home of British motorsport. Well, according to Silverstone it is. And then for the final round, it is the Nürburgring at the start of November. Speaking of the championship, let's take a look at how things stand right now. So this is your Pro Championship, and it is Alex Davidson who leads that one just by 13 points. You'd have to say that it's between the two Pure Sims Esports teammates, because Alex Gall, the Maradna Satellite E-Stars driver, is 182 points behind championship leader. James Armstrong is a bit of a long shot, 200 points back, with Jack Sedgwick, should I say, Mark Fletcher, and then Michael Avdoka, Yannis Albert, Adam Watson, and Darad Karoni round out your top 10. In Pro-Am, it's even closer between Paul Webster for the Full Tilt V Motorsport outfit and Chris van der Ness for Evo SR. Just 5 points separate those two. A further 20 points back is Chris' teammate Mark Hutchinson for Evo SR. So 25 points covering those. You think that's close? Well, Andy Archer, he's only 46 points off of the championship lead, with Jensen Adrianson's a further 20 points off of him. So really, that Pro-Am championship could still be anybody's here. Ethan Critchley, Michael Gray, Richard Simner, Phil Samways, and Ben Gregory round out the top 10. And then in AM, it is Jesse Payne-Wilkins who leads that one, but only by 33 points here today, ahead of Jack Osborne, with Martin de Jong third place, only 60 points off the championship leader. And Am is the one that we can say anything can happen, and it can swing wildly in just 1 week. Paddy Faulkner, Adam Hedgecock, Paul Crawford, Jim Whitehouse, Alazman Ryan, Andy Gilmore, and Ed May round out the top 10. Now, this is important. It's the final round of the Enduro Championship, and it is Ross McFarlane who has a healthy lead in that one for Pure Sims Esports over Ethan Critchley for Century Sim Esports. Jesse Payne-Wilkins, third place in the Enduro standings. Then we head on over to the team standings where, as Peter pointed out, Pure Sims, they've pretty much got this sewn up. They're 748 points clear right now over Altitude Esports. Maradna's Satellite E-Stars are the third place in Pro. Your top Pro-Am team then is Evo SR with Century Sim Esports and DCW Racing second and third in their class. Peter, we see the last few making their qualifying count. And look at that, at the top of the standings, Michael Evdoka and James Armstrong. Alex Davidson down in 5th with Ross McFarlane in 7th.
That's quite a surprise, I have to say, as well, but great performance from Michael Evdoka in the Pure Sims Mercedes. Superb, qualified by James Armstrong. I think that would be his best that will be his best qualifying of the season, but Josh Thompson just slams in a fast lap there to take pole position in his Team Redline machine. So great lap there from the number 3, the Manxman.
Yep, the final few drivers are coming across to finish their lap, so those times could still change. So don't count this one out yet as we get those times coming in. So it is Josh Thompson at the moment. Jared Caroni goes up into 9th place, then an improvement for him. Here's Mark Fletcher coming through the final couple of corners. He's going to be the last car to set a lap time here. Across the line, does not improve his time. So that's going to be those positions up. So we've still got about a minute or so remaining before we head on to the grid. So Peter, I want to ask you, you're into the final quarter of the championship. For some reason, all of a sudden, your team boss, Ashley Sutton. What are you saying to your two riders, runners and riders at the front there, Alex Davidson and Ross McFarlane?
Down to you guys. They're in a luxurious position where the team championship is sealed up. They're plenty far ahead of Alex Gall at the moment. Really, it's I'd say go at it. And if you use their particular team boss as a good example, Ash Sutton, he's the true racer's racer, isn't he? He is if there's anyone who loves a dogfight, it's Ash Sutton. So he'll be telling them to just go for it. And a little bit of strong competition from within can be extra motivating as well. And I think actually he'll be loving it as well, Ash Sutton, the team boss for Pure Sims, because he'll be seeing his two drivers who are already on a really high level actually have to raise their level again to try and win this championship. This is what it's all about. This is what competition's all about. I think it's fantastic. But 8th on the grid for McFarlane, he'll be frustrated with that.
Yeah, but he can see his championship rival directly in front of it. It's Josh Thompson and Michael Evdoka share the front row with James Armstrong, Alex Gall, row number 2. Row 3 for Jack Sedgwick and Alex Davidson. Then Jacob Majewski back with us once again. Ross McFarlane sharing row number 4. Row 5 for Jared Caroni and Yannisol Bear. Tom Dadswell and Matt Fletcher, the two teammates, on row number 6. Row 7, Jensen Adriansen's great qualifying for him, top Pro-Am, but right alongside him is Ethan Critchley then, with the 8th row shared by Mateusz Drozda and Jack Osborne. What a drive for the AM to get that pole position in AM. Pete Harrod and Chris Van Der Nest then share at number 9. Row 10, Ed May, Richard Simner with Timothy Van Der Broek and Adam Watson down there in 22nd. Is Audi not liking things out there. Adam Hedgecock and Mark Hutchinson then on row number 12. 13th row of the grid for Paul Crawford and Phil Samways with Michael Gray and Martin de Jong on row number 14, with the 15th row shared by Evergreen and ever-present Ben Gregory and Andy Gilmore. The 16th row of the grid is Paul Webster and Andy Archer. Paul will be not happy with that in the Pro-Am Championship. Lars Van Rijn and Jim Whitehouse then share the next row of the grid with Jack Belton and Mark Woodhouse. Final few positions on the grid. Michael Blake and Brian Sohn with Jeroen Kaiser. Jonathan Walker and Patrick Faulkner did not set a lap time today, start 40th and 41st. The last few drivers getting themselves to the grid, and then we'll be all set for the start of this race. Worth pointing out as well, no Andy Scheel here tonight. He's currently in hospital with his wife, where they're expecting the birth of a child. So all the best to Andy and his partner and his family for their upcoming berth. But he'll be glued to the screen here for what should be an intriguing round of this championship. Josh Thompson in his Porsche, pole position, so we know it's got 1 lap pace around here. Can he pull away at the front and try and gap them out?
Well, that will be a big ask, I think, as well, especially going that drive up the hill from Eau Rouge and Radion towards, towards the Lecombe chicane. I think it's going to be very hard to get away in these early steps. Looking at the qualifying times, the top 8 covered by just about a 10th and a half, so they're very, very close at the front.
Well, the pace truck has pulled off to pit lane, but we are on the endurance layout, so we won't get the green flag until after La Source. That means turn 1 is Eau Rouge Radion. What a way. It's the traditional way, isn't it? With the 24 hours, that's the starting line for that. There's never any problems in that at all going into Eau Rouge Radion on cold tyres. Nope, no problems whatsoever. But Josh, at the front of the field for Team Redline, can he get a good launch? He's going to go for it probably after the corner. And yes, he is. Foot down. He's going to see that green flag. And we're underway for an hour and 45 minutes of racing here in the World GT Championship. Plunge downhill. Eau Rouge Radion uphill once again. Question is, will everybody get through nice and clean on this opening lap? Will there be any slowdown penalties as well? That could be a big key factor here in the opening of this race. Everyone through nice and clean. Up towards Lecombe for the first time. 3 wide for 3rd place. And James Armstrong, he's strong arming it against Jack Sedgwick. A little switch from Alex Davidson, and that's allowed Ross McFarlane to come up alongside him. He's not able to get there though. But early going, so far so good, Peter.
Yeah, very impressive from our drivers there as well. That's not easy on cold tyres going into one of the most fearsome corners anywhere in the world. These cars, they really rely on that aerodynamic grip as well, and if you've not got the tyre temperature to back it up, car can feel super twitchy and nervous. You saw Alex Gall have a bit of a moment. He's dropped really far down the order as well. Just that tiny little mistake has put him outside of the top 15. He was up there in the top 5, so might well have got a slow down penalty, but the car very nearly snapped on him there as he came through Radion.
So the carry on then through towards Stavelot, and then Curve Paul Freyer. Out the corner they go. And, well, it is an endurance race, but it's very much a sprint all the way through this one. But there will be strategy at play, because these drivers are mandated by the championship regulations to take 2 pit stops. So they have to take service twice in this race. You don't have to take tyres, but you do have to take fuel on both of those stops. Into the bus stop chicane for the first time then. Onto the brakes, a little bit of side-by-side action further back with one of your Century Sim Racing cars. And we're going to go the car off after Blanchimont, and I believe that was Andy Gilmore.
Yeah, Blanchimont, a pretty scary corner, especially if you're trying to trim the car out for straight line speed. It can get a little bit squirrely through there as well. As big move up the inside from one of the full tilt Audis. Oh,
there's a car in the middle of the road.
Bowling ball. Oh, there's cars everywhere. Alex Gall around. Oh dear.
Now, who was that? It's one of the Miranda's cars, Satellite E-Stars cars, that's off.
Alex Gall was definitely involved, but he got back going again. Oh, hard in the wall. Hard in the wall at Eau Rouge. There's one of the full tilt Audis, Michael Gray.
Well, it's all happening in lap 2. We thought it was all going to be on lap 1. It's not. It's lap 2 where everything's happening here. Adam Watson making some moves here on Jack Osborne. So he's moved up to 15th place. Osborne's still your leading driver. Here's a replay. What happened to Andy Gilmore? Oh, he just loses it. And then gets a little help from a teammate.
Yeah, he was already on his way, and that just, signed, sealed, and delivered it. That's a perfect demonstration of what it's like for these GT3 cars. You have to have them really trimmed out here at Spa to have the straight line speed up the hill, up the Kemmel Straight. And yeah, that just shows you the rear just came around, just not enough grip, and bang. And that the walls are so close here. This is such a fearsome circuit. Now, let's have a look. Ed May. Oh, Ed May gets clipped by Alex Gall, I think. Yeah, who... Bit of a clumsy one there from Gall. The whole field was very clearly checking up.
did Gal take out his teammate in all of that as well? Because his teammate wasn't
Maybe
that far in
indirectly,
front in the BMW. Here's what's happened to Martin de Jong as well. So he comes round and bang, rear end. And yeah, that's car 30. That's Matthias Drozda then, who was around, and Timothy van der Broek. I mean, there's yellow flags out there, guys. Come on. You know, it's end of lap 1 into start lap 2. And here's what happened to Michael Gray. He's got an Evo SR car there. 2 into 1
so
does not
unlucky.
go.
That bit of digital aero wake there, I think, for Michael Gray. That was really unlucky. To explain it for you folks, if that might look a little strange, of course, the iRacing.com simulator is an incredible piece of technology where the sheer detail of the track, the cars, everything is remarkable. And we have drivers all over the world here racing in real time. You are going to always have a limitation with the internet. Occasionally, if someone's got a slightly weaker internet connection, the sim can just sometimes miscalculate where the car is, and you get something like that where there's a bit of kind of ghost contact that's referred to. Just poor luck. However, you do have to almost bear that in mind when you are racing in this format, though, Paul. There is that argument too.
Yeah, there is, and you do have to just make an allowance. Here's what's happened to your own Kaiser. This is Blanchimont. He gets a big switch, goes into the wall, hard into the wall, up and over, round and round. I think he'll need a few headache tablets after that one, going through a full spin cycle there.
Yeah, that was the washing machine treatment, wasn't it? But it's just a very small mistake. And again, it's another Mercedes, curiously. Normally the Mercedes has got a reputation for being a really stable car, but 2 Mercedes looking really nervous through Blanchimont, and that just drags away at your confidence. I do remember in the last iRacing season, the Porsche 911 GT3R felt very much like that. It appears to be a bit more tied down now with the balance of performance adjustments, etc. And yeah, the Mercedes appearing to be quite nervous there at Blanchimont. That's not a nice thing to have to cope with.
Oh, speaking of Porsche, listen to that engine in the back of Ben Gregory's car. Three Spires Motorsport moved into this car from the McLaren partway through the season. He just wasn't getting on with the venerable McLaren, and right now Ben, where does he find himself? 22nd on the road. He has got Martin de Jong in front of him. Porsche doesn't have the out-and-out top speed, but it does have some really good cornering speed for this car, and really gets a good launch out of slow corners, doesn't it?
It does, and it has very, very, very good braking stability as well. It's Jim Whitehouse. That Mercedes does not look fun through that Blanchimont corner. I mean, Jackie Stewart used to say, I mean, albeit in the old Spa layout, which was truly terrifying, he said, you know, everyone talks about Rouge Radio, and he says, no, Blanchimont, that was the corner. He says that was the one that you really feared. I mean, can you imagine here, the old Spa back in 1967, Jim Clark qualified at an average of over 150 miles an hour. Just let that one sink in.
Oh, there's a DCW car around. That's Paddy Faulkner, who's had issues at La Source. And, he's been helped, possibly just collected by Brian Sun in that Penguin RC simulation car. Here's a replay. And into La Source, and Ed May just, it's one of those clumsy spins. Now, let's not hope it's not a bad rejoin. Oh, they didn't touch, but it had to be a reaction from Brian.
Yeah, it's when you violently scrape across the circuit, across the racing line, stuff like that will happen. But a slightly clumsy one there from Ed May, just a little bit ambitious on the brakes. And in endurance races, you've got to eliminate these mistakes. The whole key of doing well, getting a good result in endurance racing, is 0 mistakes. If you make a mistake, there's always going to be someone who hasn't. And speaking of, and again, it's one of the Century Mercedes. Yeah, that car just looks so nasty, so nervous.
Well, it was Jim that we saw have the big wiggle on the exit of Blanchimont, don't forget, just on the last lap. So, yeah, full fuel. Of course, the weight of the fuel is going to change how this car... he's just carried too much speed, hasn't he? Into no-name... Jackie X corner, isn't it now?
I believe so, yeah. that it didn't appear like he did much wrong there. That car is not letting him away with anything. That's what a change. The last few months the Mercedes has just been such a solid package. Oh my goodness, that was nearly a big moment there for one of the Century Sim BMWs. Just gathers it up. I think it was Ethan Critchley actually.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good job he's got some tissues to clean up after that one.
Yes, certainly. Century Sims Racing branded toilet roll. Yeah, absolutely. He's got that to hand. Well, let's move forward in the field then. That's one of the Radness Satellite E-Stars cars. That's, I believe, that is Jakub Maciejewski. And there he is on screen, giving us a view. This is what you can do down the Kermel Straight. It's just take it nice and easy. Look around. How's everything doing? Have a chat with my teammates if they're on. And then focus going into lock on. But it is such a long straight as that, and an uphill all the way, I can assure you.
It's like, well, at Brno you have Horsepower Hill, where it's one of the steepest climbs anywhere on any racetrack any in the world. It's very much like that. Kemmel Straight. Grunt is an absolute premium there. And Maciejewski now is clearly a change of season. At the start of the World GT Championship, we got going in the height of summer, and where we had a heat wave across Europe, and Jakub had the white string vest on for the sort of first half of the season, but he's changed strategy now. He's still got the window open though.
Yeah, just a crack open though this time,
just
rather than completely wide
half
open.
crack.
Yeah, and through the Fania chicane, going all the way out, pushing track limits. I can tell you that is something that we're going to talk about later. I can guarantee you that we'll have drive-through penalties by the end of this race. It is without a doubt. I mean, iRacing a few years ago did actually change the track limits around here, and actually made it a little bit more lenient, but still drivers will pick up off-track instant points around here, and it's one of those things around this track, and it's one of the challenges that you've got to have. Yes, you're racing against, well, on track right now, 37 cars, but you're also racing against the track here as well to a degree.
You are. That is part of the challenge for sure here at Spa on the iRacing platform. The track limits are very strictly enforced. Also, we have seen quite a lot of contact so far today, and of course a pretty heavy contact will give you 4 incident points. That's like 4 off-track penalty points. So if you're making contact with other drivers, you're going to hit that incident point limit really quick, and a drive-through penalty here is the most punishing drive-through penalty anywhere on the iRacing service. As Maciejewski's, he's had enough sitting beside Jack Sedgwick, mirror signal manoeuvre, and it might be maybe be a bit nervous, but nothing wrong with the straight line speed of that Merc.
What he could see, I can see that he was just trying to get ahead, because you could see that the top 3 were actually starting to gap out Jack Sedgwick there. So Thompson, Evdoka and James Armstrong were pulling away, and Jakub is like, look, we can't hang around, boys, here. We've got to get up with those guys. And now if I'm Jack Sedgwick, I'm hoping that Jakub now can pull him along and get him up to those front 3, but he's looking behind because he's got Alex Davidson and Ross McFarlane. They're not going to do anything silly, those two, but Ross, at some point in this race, will want to get ahead of his teammate.
The thing is, he will be in absolutely no rush right now.
No.
Ross McFarlane, he's so clever, and the thing is, Alex Davidson will know that better than anyone. He'll know what McFarlane's strengths are. There's a lot of endurance races they'll have done as teammates together, sharing a car. So this is a different dynamic for them now. And McFarlane, if we ride on board for a full throttle, you'll hear just how light on the gas Ross is, and that is all in the name of saving fuel and therefore saving time at the pit stop pumps.
Well, we'll listen in going into the bus stop chicane. I don't think he is doing much lifting and cut. He's certainly not dipping the clutch. For me, as we head on down towards La Source once again, we'll just listen in for this one. I don't think, Peter, he's doing that much fuel saving at the moment.
He is doing a bit. Do you know what he is doing?
Bit.
He is being silky smooth. So silky smooth. He's coming off the gas gently, on the brake gently, and on the power gently. So he knows how important it is to keep the tyre in for this 1 hour and 45-minute race. We've seen Ross really make the difference with his tyre management in these longer races. Let's listen at the top of Kemmel. There's the clutch.
Yeah.
So what that's happening there, folks, is the iRacing simulator. If you lift off the gas, put the clutch in, you can save fuel as well. So yeah, there's definitely McFarlane's in a good place to save fuel, but so is Davidson as well. He's got 2 cars in front of him, providing the perfect tow along right now.
Certainly is. Worth mentioning as well, Paul Webster is out for the race.
Davidson.
Oh, Davidson! My goodness, he's held it magnificently. Fantastic stuff. But wow, that could have big connotations, not just in the championship, but also to his trousers. My goodness, that'll have been a heart-in-mouth moment.
Wow. Well, I hope he's wearing his 3M gloves, because he'll have sweaty palms after that one. Goodness me. And again, the Mercedes bites even the very top. Our championship leader just coming off the throttle there into the left-hander Jack X, and the rear just snapped round on him. And he didn't Davidson do well to keep that car out the tyre barrier. And then if he'd hit the tyre barrier, well, you never know, he would have been a sitting duck there, but he's got all the work to do now as well. Well. Drama early on after just 15 minutes.
And it shows just how this circuit can bite as well. It really shows how. Yes, it's a Formula One trial. Oh, Tom, you got that all wrong there, getting onto the grass. How both him and Albert managed to hold on to that, I don't know. But Tom, you might want to be careful going onto the brakes on the grass. He's got his teammate Matt Fletcher behind him. Mark, I can tell you, one of the nicest guys in sim racing. Not the nicest guy. The nicest guy in sim racing is, of course, Jamie Flug. But certainly, Matt Fletcher, he's giving it a flash of the headlights. It's like, come on, Tom, just calm it down. But there's Yannis Albert. I can imagine that there was maybe a little bit of grimacing or gesticulation going on after that slight bit of contact into the bus stop chicane. Here comes a run from Dadswell. A little bit of bump drafting going on actually between them. I think Dadswell can see that there's the opportunity of catching up to Alex Davidson.
Well, I tell you what, Yannis Albert there did not seem the slightest bit perturbed by that. So relaxed there as well. Well, at the front, Josh Thompson doing a super job. He's actually pulled away from Michael Evdoka by 1.7 seconds. That's enough to break the slipstream there back to the Pure Sims Mercedes driver. Great run still from James Armstrong in the 47 car. Machuski there in 4th. Now we have 2 pit stops, which makes up 3 stints across the race. It's kind of 2 full stints and a smaller one. But when you deploy that smaller one, it's very, very important to get the best out of this race.
Now, we did see the track conditions just at the start of the race, just before they went across the line to start this one. But the track temperature is only 21.7 degrees, 22 degrees if you want to round it up. 7 o'clock at night in the evening in Sim. So it's only going to get cooler as this track. So I don't think that anybody's going to be taking tyres in this race. I think it's just going to be a fuel-only race for a change. Because the last few endurance races that we've had, in fact all of them so far this season, have seen a mixture of people not taking tyres and taking tyres. Yeah,
I mean, that was definitely the deciding factor at Watkins Glen. We saw Watkins Glen, which was round 10 last season, and we saw Luke McEwen taking tyres, Ross McFarlane not taking tyres, and that was the deciding factor in the race. So I think that, you know, we're going to have to win the race. I think you are going to have to make that tyre work for an hour and 45 minutes. The good thing is you've got quite a lot of long straights here to let the tyres just cool off that little bit. If you put a big load on them like you do at Eau Rouge and Radion, you do have another run up the straight where you can just allow them just to cool a fraction. You don't want the big risk in iRacing is to get the tyre to stop overheating. That's what the big risk is. Once it overheats, it's hard to get it down.
You said that Josh had broken the slipstream at the front. He really has, because he's 2.5 seconds in the lead, as there goes Tom Dadswell ahead of Yannis Albert, deciding that he's had enough of the slipstream and he wants to get past and move forward. So yeah, definitely he's got out at the front as Josh, and we see it time and again in races around this venue. Once you break that slipstream and you're in the lead, you're just able to waltz away at the front, because you're just setting your own pace and working to your own marks and not dragging someone along with you. So now Michael Evdoka and James Armstrong, they've got to sort themselves out as to whether they switch positions, whether they do a little bit of sort of peloton work and to give each other slipstreams to try and pull themselves forward. I mean, what do you do when the leader is just broken away like this?
Sometimes you have to reassess your goals and what you want to get out of the race in terms of a result, I think, sometimes at that stage as well. But this is a dominant, best drive of the season we've seen so far from Josh Thompson. Of course, he started off in the BMW, made a switch to the Porsche. Of course, he's racing in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup Contender Series at the moment. So, you know, maybe he wanted to have a kind of they are quite different, the GT3R and the 992 Cup car, but maybe just a little bit of familiarity. But whatever, he is doing a super job. I think also with the Porsche, to get the best lap time out of it and to get it to race as well, you need a nice open road in front of you to use the corner speed, use the braking. You don't really want to get held up by someone who's fast down the straight but slower in the corners.
Yeah, Josh hasn't had the best of times in the Contender Series. It's worth pointing that out. He's down in 26, with only the top 15 being the ones who get a invitation to the Super Cup. So maybe he's decided that, you know what, I need to have a little bit of fun rather than putting so much time and effort into Super Cup contention, and just enjoy my sim racing as well. And he certainly enjoys racing in this series. He's certainly a driver with a tremendous win record in this championship. I mean, looking at the records, 34 wins. He's the winningest driver in this championship throughout its history. Ross McFarlane, to give you an example, is third in that list in 19th. 19th? 19 wins, should I say.
Wow. Quite a difference. Yeah, Josh Thompson certainly putting himself in a good position for another one at the moment. As you look further back, Ben Gregory in the AM class holding off the number 13 Ferrari. It's Adam Hedgecock, I think, number 13. Our very own Mr. Fish Tank.
Yes, of course. The aquarium will be there keeping him company as we go through pool, or isn't it double gush now they've called it? It's pool to me. But they keep on changing the corner names here.
I know, and you always get people who say, oh no, that's what it's called and I know best. It's like, just chill. Like, if there's multiple corner names. I think it's put on as well. They might have maybe thought that was maybe to describe what happens when the rear just kicks out on you there and you have put on.
I mean, I'm an old man now in sim racing, so a circle. So it's pool to me, much like it's not Piff Paff, it's Lafanya.
Yeah, Fania chicane for sure as well. As they go through, no arguments with that one. Blanchimont and down into the bus stop. Not
much of a bus stop now, it must be said, compared to what it used to be, when it did actually used to be a proper shape of a bus stop, didn't it? The bus stop chicane before they redesigned that.
Yeah, and also the amount of the minimum corner speed as well that these GT3 cars can take is quite remarkable as well. They are really impressive pieces of kit. We've seen a move for second position. James Armstrong has passed Michael Evdoka. So the number 47 Brabham BMW has got ahead of Evdoka, who had set a very hot pace in qualifying, was just pipped at the last moment by Josh Thompson. So interesting. Is Evdoka worried about his fuel number possibly? No, I think this is more a move by Armstrong here.
Yeah, I mean, potentially he could be thinking, do you know what?
Oh, he lifts off early.
Yeah, he's lifting off. He's realised that it's pointless fighting that and getting the slipstream, get myself a bit of fuel saving on, but also get myself a bit of lap time. So I do think that he is just that little bit lower on lap time. And look at the queue of cars that's caught up to them. Remember, the top three had broken away early on, but now Machuski, by making that move on Sedgwick, has dragged those cars forward. You've got Sedgwick, McFarlane, Caroni, all together in a line. They're looking at a potential podium here.
They are. Any of these cars could end up on the podium by the end of the race as well. But at this stage, you know, we're only 25 minutes in, an hour and 20 to go. All about keeping the life in the tyre, making sure you're hitting the fuel number that you want to, but particularly the tyre. It's going to come down to the last 10 or 15 minutes, and you want to have tyre life left, because when they drop off, oh, it's horrible once they drop off.
Yeah, it certainly is. And if your car's been twitchy enough through Blanchimont at the best of times with brand new tyres, what's it going to be like with an hour and 30, hour and 40 minute stint on them? So definitely there's going to be a little bit going on in the back of the head as to how they attack this. But coming out of La Source, so there you go, Armstrong, Evdoka, Machuski, Sedgwick, McFarlane. Caroni's dropped back a little bit from this group actually, so he's not quite keeping up now. Evdoka, interesting to see, does he get any move done? Does he make a run on him? Armstrong's holding the racing line. Evdoka's just sat behind. He's happy taking the fuel saving, and who can blame him?
Oh, actually, no, Machuski actually gets a little bit caught out by it as well, because Evdoka is effectively soft pedaling. He was probably about 80% throttle there, and Machuski actually nearly ran into the back of him there, not quite expecting that lift off so early by Evdoka. So could Machuski maybe make a move on Evdoka? He seems to be happy to be pushing on right now, does the driver of the 29 Satellite Racing Mercedes, as Adam Hedgecock's getting swamped here by two BMWs as they go up the straight. So Ferrari versus BMW here, and yeah, Hedgecock completely swamped there.
Yeah, Lord Hedge losing positions, and he could be losing another one here to the Evo SR Mercedes. Takes a very wide line, decides to give the space, and no, decides to back out, does the Evo SR car, to try and get the run out of Jackie X corner, or Speaker's corner, and down towards Pouon once again through that double apex left-hander. Do you know one of my favourite things about Spa 24 Hours, by the way, Peter, is that
chips.
You get to hear, well, apart from the chips and the waffles,
beer.
You get to, well, I don't drink, so, I mean...
Oh, sorry, that was me.
That was you, yeah. You'd be happy with the beer. No, it's you get to hear the dulcet tones of David Addison and John Watson on commentary. I mean, what a partnership that is.
Well, I do love John Watson. I mean, it's just got. I mean, listening to John commentating since British touring cars in the 90s, and yeah, he's just got that kind of iconic voice. My goodness me, does he not pull any punches with his opinions? And you know, whether you agree with him or not, at least he does speak his mind. Which, to be honest, for a former racer, that's kind of what you want. You want them to be able to share their view. Now, coming to the Evo SR Mercedes there of Mark Hutchison, he's third in the Pro-Am Championship, 25 points back from Paul Webster. You would think that Hutchison would want to be further up the order, and actually a little bit of telltale damage on the front there of that Evo SR Mercedes, and it nearly puts some more there. Is it, Paul, that only the very top teams have been able to...
Oh no! That's Evdoka! My goodness! So Evdoka's the latest one to get that treatment. That's a little bit of netcode there. Oh, I said the banned word. I'm sorry, but I have to point it out. It was definitely there, but my goodness, it's tough to go too wide through Malmedy, and you can tell the tyres have really overheated now.
Yeah. I don't know. It's an ever so light contact, but I do think that Mercedes, it just seems, even in the hands of the top drivers and the top teams, it does seem to just need the slightest encouragement and whoosh, it's away from you as well. I mean, we've seen much more drivers further down the order really, really struggling with it. I have to say I'm really, really surprised, Paul. It's amazing how the simulator, it's an evolving thing. The way the cars are set up is an evolving thing, and that Mercedes, from a real friendly Labrador of a car, it's turned into a pit bull.
Certainly is, and it could well be the survival of the fittest, really, of those drivers as they head on out of the bus-up chicane. So James Armstrong then second place, and then you've got Jacob Machursky, Jack Sedgwick, Ross McFarlane together. So 2 of the 3 Pure Sims Esports cars have had issues. Luckily for Ross McFarlane, though, he's so far not one of those, because Alex Davidson in 8th place right now. He's got his teammate in front of him, Michael Evdoka. That might actually help him a little bit, because he's been driving around on his own. He's not been getting any fuel saving done, as Alex, as here comes Jack Sedgwick pushing. I mean, who would have thought the Ferrari pushing the Mercedes all the way up the Kemmel Straight? And then into the brakes they go for Lecombe once again. So Jacob Machursky now, he's got eyes forward. He wants to get to James Armstrong, but the problem is that all these drivers are about 5 seconds, 4.5 seconds off of Josh Thompson at the front. He is waltzing away at the front.
He definitely is. This is a stellar drive from Josh Thompson. He's in another world as well, and you look at, he's the only driver in that kind of top part who are running the Porsche 911 GT3R, and it appears to have been a very good mid-season decision as Adam Hedgecock gets barged out the way from 3rd place in AM. Now, as one of the full tilt Audis goes by,
I think it was Phil Samways saying, Bosch, out the way, I'm coming through there and not giving you any space. And we saw what Adam Hedgecock thought of it, because there was a terse flash of the headlights.
That's as angry as you'll ever see him.
Yes. So those 2 swap positions, involuntary from Adam Hedgecock, it must be said. He didn't want to lose a place, but unfortunately he did in that one. And now he's got Matthias Drozda recovering drive from him in 26, moving forward. By the way, I was going to point out when Alex Davidson had his big moment down at Speaker's Corner that Paul Webster had a major problem with his internet. He lost internet connection entirely. He is now 5 laps down, having got back into the car after it automatically took a tour back to the pits, and he's just running around on his own in 37th place right now. He's trying to do anything he can to try and get some sort of points for his Pro-Am Championship, because let's not forget, coming into this round, he had a 5-point lead over Chris van der Ness.
Well, that's just got to try and get it to the finish and try and, just hope that something curves towards him. A bit of bad news for him that Chris van der Ness is currently 3rd in Pro-Am class, so he's in a good position to score a few points there as well, so that it heats up some more in that Pro-Am Championship as Machursky now makes the move on Sedgwick. So he's going, right, this pace isn't quick enough, I need to get going again. So Machursky, let's see what he can do chasing after Armstrong. Does he have that Mercedes tame? Does Machursky, look at the rear of it, just kicking around there as well. Does Machursky have the control over that wild bucking Bronco of a machine?
Well, it was actually Jack Sedgwick trying to make the move on Machursky up the Kemmel Straight, but as soon as the Ferrari lost the slipstream, it just stalled out, did that car. It just did not get anywhere, and that's why I was a little bit surprised that it was able to bump draft Machursky on the previous lap. So those 2 staying as they are, they don't want to slow each other down too much. Oh, mistake from Machursky there. That was some sort of a line through the Fania chicane. Send a postcard to that Apex as through the gut, through Stavelot. Of course, the corner closest to the town of Stavelot, and then through the right-hander at Curve Paul Freyer. Head on out. Beautiful part of the world, this. I say this on every broadcast, but I encourage you, go watch motorsport at Spa-Francorchamps. It is a magnificent venue to go and watch motorsport, and also the best waffles I've ever tasted at a motorsport venue. Sedgwick to the inside of the bus stop chicane. Machuski's not giving this one up without a fight. Ross McFarlane, he's trying to come in and get in on the act here. 3-time champion. He wants to make it a 4-time. He's getting boxed in a little bit here right now. Onto the brakes once again. Sedgwick, he's so good on the brakes. His jacket, look at that. McFarlane tried to take advantage of it down the inside at La Source, but not able to get the overlap.
This will be so frustrating for McFarlane. He'll just be looking at his lap time delta on the dashboard thinking, no, this just isn't quick enough pace. These guys are holding me up here as well. And he even actually just tries to break out of the tow there somehow to try and make something happen here. Does McFarlane in that white and highlighter yellow Pure Sims Mercedes. They got a little bit of lap traffic to contend with again, and then again McFarlane is boxed in a little bit, and he's kind of left with only one strategy, and that's just lift and coast. He can't really make a move here yet, it seems, but so he's got no other option but to, if he can't get the lap time delta he wants, he can try and beat his fuel mileage delta, if you like. They've got the drivers will know exactly how much fuel they need to hit per lap, and obviously a lap time that they know is good or not. So if you can't hit the lap time, you've got to at least try and throw the fuel game at it if you can. But nevertheless, McFarlane's the driver who's not made mistakes. Both of his teammates have, and of course critically that means that he's sitting a couple of places ahead of his championship rival Alex Davison.
As they carry on then, so McFarlane, he can play the patient game. We know that McFarlane can play the patient game, but he's got to think that his teammate, only 2 places behind, they've swapped positions in this race. McFarlane's gained 3 positions compared to Davidson losing a position compared to where he started, and they carry on now. Looking a little bit further back, Ethan Critchley, Jensen Adriansons. This is Pro-Am race for first, down in 12th and 13th overall. Not doing too bad though, 25-26 seconds off of your race leader, so they're keeping a good pace. They're currently lapping in the mid to high 15s. Compare that to Josh Thompson. Oh my goodness, Josh Thompson last lap just set a new fastest lap of 2:14.1. Compare that to Ethan Critchell last lap of 2:15.9. Incredible.
I mean, you look at the best laps as well. That was obviously the best lap of the race for Josh Thompson. It's 0.7 of a second quicker than anybody. The next closest, in fact, is 0.6 of a second. Alex Davidson is the second fastest lap of the race and 0.6 of a second quicker. Very, very rarely at this level do we see that difference in lap time at the front of the field. Remarkable stuff from Josh Thompson. He is very much in the driving seat for this victory today. Speaking about these 2 guys on screen, Ethan Critchley and Jensen Adriansons, they've been real revelations this season, and hopefully we'll see them back next season. And if they're in Pro-Am next season, they're going to be fighting for that title for sure. They really are showing their strength right now.
Yeah, Jensen Adriansons, he didn't have the best of times last season, but he's really sort of come on this season in the Autosport Red driver. But Ethan Critchley, I mean, he has been a sensation, hasn't he? Of course, getting that win at Monza in the 3rd race of the evening at Monza, he certainly didn't help his cause for staying in Am and got moved forward swiftly up into Pro-Am. And he's certainly showing himself. He's not consistent yet. I think that's something that he needs to work on, isn't it, for Ethan? He needs that consistency, but he does have some pace.
Well, I think it's the same for Adriansons, is that like Ethan Critchley, if they get in our sprint or feature races, if they get advantageous reverse grid position, they can win races overall. I think that's the definite ability. They've both proven that they have that ability to do that. If they get the grid position, they can, command from the front like true pros. Like you say, qualifying in a position to do that on pure lap time pace is where there's the difference between the pros and the Pro-Ams. And they're definitely right up the sharp end of that as we ride on board with Adam Watson. Arm hopefully all healed up now and force feedback back to normal. I just don't know how he doesn't get so hot with these hoodies on. He's always got a hoodie on. God, he must be roasting.
Yeah, I don't get. Mind you, he's only a wee lad, isn't he? He's not got much to him, has he?
Heating prices these days. I mean,
well, I've gone for the long sleeve option today for me. You know, that's my winter attire. just get a jumper on is what I do. Either that or run a PC with 4 monitors. That chucks out enough heat along with studio lights.
Yeah.
But I couldn't race in a hoodie like Adam does. It's short sleeve polo shirt or t-shirt for me for racing.
Oh, definitely. I've got to go t-shirt, and if I can go shorts as well. I mean, I don't wear shorts out the house, but I wear them in the house, and some shorts would be good for that. Our first takers for pit stops, 40 minutes into this race, and this is an example here. Look how agonisingly slow this. It's like going through a motorway contraflow system here. So slow. So if you break that incident point limit, a drive-through penalty, it's going to ruin your race. I mean, just look how slow that is and how long the pit lane is as well.
And you've got to be careful on that hairpin as well, because it's not the widest there, and you can easily clip one of the walls around that hairpin. So it certainly is painful. When we're in there doing the 24 hours like I did. What was it? 2016, I think it was. I did it, or 2015, one of the two. And we did the 24 hours, and it was just, well, I've got enough for 2 minutes to wait before I actually hand over the car to my teammates. You're pretty much a full lap for a full pit stop here.
Yeah, that the drivers have really got to avoid that drive-through penalty if they can absolutely help it. Although there is quite a few drivers really pushing the track limits, where you can see it as our race leader into pit lane after 40 minutes of running. An amazing first stint for Josh Thompson. None of his immediate rivals there deciding to go in, so pulling a wee strategical ploy here is Josh Thompson, looking very relaxed at the moment. He's obviously going for a short run first and then 2 long runs.
Well, I was going to ask, did he sort of fuel the car just ever so slightly lighter, or is this just a difference of running in clean air all the way through this race so far? He's having to work that car harder, and it means that he hasn't been able to save the fuel that the others behind him have.
Not sure. I mean, I'd say lap time wise, he's in another universe. I think that's where the gaps come. I mean, the lap time is mind-bogglingly good. We just do not see. I can't stress it enough how we don't see that difference in lap time at this level. But down to his pit box he comes.
We've got a veritable pit party going on, by the way, it must be said, because there's a good sort of 10 or so cars on pit road right now. So we're very much in that pit stop cycle. There you see them all. It's you're absolutely right. It is a contraflow on the M62, and down they go onto their pit stall, and it's so frustrating being on this pit road, and you're just waiting. Then eventually you get to your stall, and if you're Josh Thompson, then it's pull away, and then right on it straight away. Let's get back up to speed. Careful on the pit exit here. Try not to clip the grass. Cut the little white lines a little bit, not too much though, or else you will get an unsafe pit exit and then out onto the track. And crucially for Josh, he's come out onto track in a bucket full of clean air. Absolutely no traffic at all. It's worked out perfectly.
Absolutely ideal for Josh Thompson there. It's going exactly to plan at the moment for him. And noticed he was wearing some 3M gloves there as well. It certainly gives you a competitive edge for sure. So, here comes now the car 47. James Armstrong comes in the Brabham BMW.
I think everyone's
I just love saying that Brabham BMW. It's like, get your Parmalat yogurts out.
There's one of those is Matt Fletcher for Altitude Esports. He's managed to save yet another lap worth of fuel. We always see like 1 or 2 drivers, don't we, that manage to eke out 1, maybe 2 laps of fuel extra. And Matt Fletcher is the one. Maybe he just wants the glory of leading a lap.
Well, possibly. I mean, we look at this year's Spa 24 Hour. powered by VCO. You know that the Coanda Porsche team, they didn't have the straight line speed, they didn't have even the 1-lap speed really, but they had huge fuel economy advantage, and they really flaunted that as best as possible. They also had a tyre conservation advantage, which they flaunted, and over a long 24-hour race, that really played in their favour. Of course, with an hour and 45 minutes, there isn't as much to do there, but let's see. So yeah, Josh Thompson coming through the bus stop now. Tyres, the thing is, he wouldn't have really lost a great deal of tyre temperature. His car would have been pretty much ready to go, not putting new tyres on, of course. So we'll see what sort of lead he comes out with, and how the order's going to shuffle. Who's been lightest on the gas? Who's going to be needing the lowest amount of fuel getting filled into those tanks? Off goes Machuski. Then there's Sedgwick.
And here comes Thompson.
Okay.
Up the hill.
That's less than it was.
It certainly is. Thompson was 31.3 seconds. Now, Machuski, it must be worth pointing out, 23.6 seconds in the box, so he's taken a little bit less fuel on this stop. He's not taken a full tank. Neither has Jack Sedgwick, 25 seconds for his pit stop. James Armstrong, he took a full tank of fuel, 32.4 seconds for him. Ross McFarlane, 29.5 seconds. So there's a little bit of strategy play coming into this one then, and people trying those different tactics, and we have seen it pay off, haven't we, in previous races. I mean, Jack Sedgwick at Fuji, don't forget, he took not a full tank at the first pit stop, as here comes Mr. Fletcher now after his glory lap of leading this race onto pit road. Altitude Esports certainly represented there. And Chris van der Ness is the other driver who owes us a pit stop in this one yet. So he'll head on to pit road. Turns off right. There we go. So easy to click the wall on pit entry as well. I've seen it time and again. I've seen a complete track blockage on pit road here at Spa-Francorchamps. He'll come onto pit road as well. So the Pro-Am driver, Chris van der Ness, he's second in the championship. He's taking his first pit stop.
Interestingly, we're looking at the pit stop strategies. It does seem that Machuski going for a different strategy. He's put 23.5 seconds of fuel in. Thompson 31.3, 31.7 for Davison, 29.2 for McFarlane. I do think that is purely the fuel saving that's allowed him to have put less in.
Certainly is, as Armstrong and McFarlane are together. We've seen this time and again, though, again with Ross McFarlane. He's played that strategy game perfect every single time. He took the win at Fuji when really we didn't expect him to take the win that day. Downhill. Oh, now here's what's happened. Michael Gray, and I believe that's Ed May, across the grass. Contact, bang, into the wall. The two of them, and well devoided by those other cars. But Michael Gray not having a good day of it so far, and he's taken a tour back to the pit lane. I think he's done for today.
Yeah, very dramatic day at the office for Michael Gray, unfortunately. As number 47, James Armstrong, he's got company here, the number one of Ross McFarlane. Interestingly, Sedgwick, he's gone for a slightly alternative strategy as well. He's put 25 seconds of fuel in. So Machuski and Sedgwick, they definitely are they're definitely going for their shorter fill now and then two longer fills later. So they owe us a long pit stop, whereas the others will get their shorter one. Thompson, he's cock a hoop really, 3.1 seconds ahead from someone who's on a different strategy, who's going to have to take a longer stop when they come back into the pits. So Josh Thompson's exactly where he wants to be, and clear air in front of him, dreamland.
It's not just in Pro, by the way, where the strategy play is at hand, because Jensen Adriansons took a 20-second pit stop in the box compared to Ethan Critchley, who he was fighting with, who took 31.2. So there's a short stop being taken by Jensen this time around, but of course that's going to flip-flop and go the other way, and to give Ethan Critchley a short stop towards the end of the race. So Pro-Am, that one's not over yet. You want to keep an eye on that one as well. How's your AM standings at the moment? Jack Osborne's still in 16th place where he started. He's doing well out of all of this, so he's having a good one. The second placed AM is Martin de Jong in 22nd overall. So a bit of a gap between the two of them in terms of positions. That's going to score Jack some good points then. I mean, when you consider that the points that the position that you finish in are the points that you take into your specific championship. It's not 3 separate sets of points for the championships. It's wherever you finish, that's the points that you take. So for someone like Jack Osborne to get himself a good result, that helps him all manner of good for the AM Championship.
It certainly does, yeah. I mean, the 33 points back at the moment, that'll put him in a really good position to fight for the AM Championship over the next 2 weeks from now. And the Pro-Am battle is fascinating as well, with Adriansons and Ethan Critchley as well. And they're not up in 12th and 13th overall on some sort of bizarre strategical play. They're on the same strategy as some of the others, and so up there. So they are really there on merit. Fantastic stuff from Adriansons and Critchley. Who's going to come out on top? Well, we're not going to know until they come out of the pits after their next and final stop. Question is, Paul, does McFarlane try and go past Armstrong and try and close down, do some laps in open air and push on, or does he simply just, you know, play it calm and wait for his opportunity in the third stint? It's a very difficult decision for him.
When he's 10 seconds behind Josh Thompson. I think if you're thinking long game here, then he's got to think just sit behind and get himself some more fuel saving and then jump James at the next pit stop. Alex Davidson, worth pointing out, is in 10th place right now. So Ross is getting some good points over his teammate in Alex Davidson for the championship, the Pro Championship, don't forget. So I think if you're Ross, you're thinking long game, you're thinking don't make any moves, don't get involved in anything silly, don't slow yourself down that gives your opponents an opportunity to close up. Just hit your numbers, get your fuel number right, and you should be golden towards the end. That's how I would think anyway if I'm in Ross's shoes. Problem is, I was never in Ross's shoes when I was driving.
I think if we look at what the other Mercedes have had to experience as well, the cars look twitchy, they look nervous, and we've seen some top-end drivers make errors in them. So it could be that Ross McFarlane, if he's not gonna, if he doesn't have the outright pace, he won't take massive risk and chuck it at the scenery. You know, let's see what he does here, because he's got a great run here on Armstrong. Is he going to tuck in behind him, because he's done a lot of lifting and coasting the last few braking zones, and yes, he's doing the same thing again.
Jack Sedgwick has just got ahead of Jacob Machuski up into second place. So is that a case of Sedgwick getting a good run up the Kemmel Straight and getting the move done? Or has Machuski decided, you know what, I need to do a little bit of fuel saving here. Jack's got some good pace. Let's just try and get some fuel saving done and allow him to make the hole in the air in front of me. That's a good question, but yeah, Sedgwick up in second place now. Remember, he's got the slightly heavier car of the two, having taken an extra second and a half's worth of fuel compared to Jacob.
I think because he needed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me with how hard he was having to push that Ferrari.
Yeah, I think Machuski and Sedgwick are on an identical strategy. So, as Machuski goes very wide there, puts a wheel in the gravel, that'll be an incident point accumulated there. But it could be that, I mean, last time by, Sedgwick was 0.3 of a second quicker than Machuski. So let's see how this is going to be a fascinating battle to watch. This is really a big fight for the podium here between these two cars. They do owe us a slightly longer pit stop, but they're both owing that same pit stop. So they are absolutely on like for like where they are now. The difference is Sedgwick going to be able to pull away from Machuski? That's going to be a big ask.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've got somebody. You were talking about the Porsche Tagore Esport Super Cup Contender Series. Majewski is another one who's been competing in that. Somebody who hasn't been competing in that, but is competing against his car, is Ben Gregory, who went for a bit of a drift through Poor, manages to avoid any walls, and hopefully, nice clean rejoin. I'm happy with that. I think that gets the Connery Maddock seal of approval, does that rejoin. But Ben, I said that he's the driver who's been here the longest. Every season of this championship, Ben Gregory has competed in this World GT Championship, whereas nobody else has done that achievement. Not even the admins of the series have done that achievement. So that's a heck of an achievement for Ben, but don't think things are going his way this race.
No, he has had some good results of late, though. Of course, did the treble in the World Touring Car Series last time out as well. 3 wins from 3. Very, very impressive stuff in his Hyundai Veloster. 51 minutes to go then, and Cedric not showing any signs of pulling away from Majewski. Majewski looks pretty confident there where he is right now. Again, last time by 0.3 of a second to the good for, in fact, about 9/10 of a second as I just click refresh. But that was probably more to do with the overtake. I do think the lap time will even out here because Cedric is not visibly pulling away from Majewski at this stage. And if he wanted to, he'd really have to push hard as well and try and call Majewski's bluff a little bit at this stage.
I think what you have to say as well is you look at both of their fastest lap. I mean, Sedgwick 2:14.778 compared to Majewski's 2:14.723. So there's barely anything between the two of them as drivers in terms of the speed that they've got there. And I mean, really, they're just going to be working with each other, just try and get anything that they can out of the cars and to get anything towards Josh Thompson. But even now, Josh Thompson, last lap, 2:14.917. Compare that to Jag Sedgwick, 2:15.162. So a good couple of tenths of a second between Sedgwick and Thompson in terms of lap time. That leader is just pulling away once again in that Porsche. Jack Belton, meanwhile, for Penguin RC Simulation, he's down the inside of the first part of Fania. Not on the inside on the second part of Fania though, but he's certainly having some fun further down in the field with Mark Woodhouse and James Whitehouse. So Jim Whitehouse, the man from South Africa, proudly lets us know that he's from South Africa as well. Usually wears the Springboks jersey when he's racing, and he's got the South African flag on his end plates as well. So he's certainly doing a good job from Century Sim Racing out there in Warrington.
Oof, big and heavy on the brakes there is Jim Whitehouse as well. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be wearing the green and gold tonight, I would think, for the Springboks. But they're now right on the back here of Mark Woodhouse and the Team Mad Mercedes with the blue flashes. And it's been a difficult season for Mark Woodhouse, where he really has struggled with various incidents, but Whitehouse just blows straight by him there as they come out of La Source and down towards Eau Rouge. Really, really full throttle, scary run through there as well. If you get it wrong, it is curtains. But Josh Thompson really in another universe right now in his Porsche. And just that you look at the lap times, every time you look at the lap times, he's just pulling multiple tenths of a second out of really top level drivers, guys that he's raced side to side with, guys who he will finish behind sometimes, so he's really found a whole new level. I mean, look at that last lap, 4 tenths quicker than Cedric and Majewski, 6 tenths quicker than Armstrong and McFarlane. Remarkable stuff.
Yeah, he's just on another planet right now, is Josh. And the thing is, he'll be driving along and he'll look so relaxed. He'll just be in that sort of reclined position that he drives in, and just he'll be focused. Don't get me wrong, but he'll be looking so relaxed. I mean, you could almost have, an arm up on on your door frame there with the window down, listening to some I don't know, Basement Jacks or whatever he listens to. Other bands are available, by the way, yeah, he'll be happy just driving along at the front, doing what he does. Meanwhile, looking back, this is Ross McFarlane, quite content staying behind James Armstrong with a very, very big hole in the air created for Ross with that BMW. It always seems big, but I think it's more just the design of the car, isn't it, with that BMW? The Mercedes will be certainly matching it in terms of size and stance.
Yeah, the Mercedes has got some serious girth, that's for sure. 6.2 litre V8 thumping away in the front of it as well, so it's a serious machine. Very much the same recipe, you know, big engine in the front, rear wheel drive obviously, like they all are, but yeah, it's a GT car, if you like, in its road car guise. The only difference is the BMW is turbocharged, the Mercedes is naturally aspirated, so slightly different delivery and power. You could think actually that as I tell you what, Armstrong I think is having to push hard here. He's making mistakes, he's running wide, he's really kind of ragged there as well. I wonder how McFarlane will react to that if you think, right, enough's enough, I'm going by. No, he's going to go for the bump draft. But yeah, McFarlane, that Mercedes delivers its power very smoothly, but smooth in the corners it is not this race for some reason. Look at that big long lift off the throttle.
Yeah, Ross is just doing some serious fuel saving. I think it's almost like as if he's written off getting a podium here, and he's thinking, right, 4th place, I mean, that'd be some good points for him in the championship when you consider that his teammate Alex Davidson down in 10th place right now. Oh, contact! Big contact between the two of them. Oh, Terse flashing the lights as well from James. He's busy trying to save the car, and yet he's still got time to press that headlight flash button.
Yeah, well, we've seen that from several drivers here, just getting the braking point wrong at last source as well, so would think that McFarlane might well be taking the attention of the stewards for that one as well. It's pretty slam dunk, unfortunately, and of course that'll add 4 incident points to both cars. So if either of them were getting close to the incident point limit, that's just put them even closer as well. It's going to kill a lap time there as well. All of the drivers at the front are making so few mistakes, but if you do make one, it really, really punishes.
Now, I know the stewards do look favourably if you do go and give the position back, but Ross isn't doing that. He's thinking, oh, well, I'm going to get a penalty. Let's just try and run away as far as possible to mitigate that. So, yeah, it is a little bit of a bump and run there. I would have liked to have seen Ross just give the place back, but you don't always think like that when you're a competitor at such a high level, do you? It is very much all about me.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's very much a thing of virtual motorsport etiquette. You really don't see that in the real world, in the outdoor world of racing. You know, if you do get that, you will never ever see someone pull over and wait at the side of the road for someone to go back and replay the position. So I don't believe it should be any different in virtual motorsport. Should there be a penalty for it? Yes, absolutely. Whether the driver decides to contest it or not is something that you're then relying on, whether it's at the goodness of the heart of the person who's the kind of perceived victim of an incident. You know, if they go, do you know what, I can't be bothered protesting it, then it goes away scot-free. I think it should all be about, it should be judged impartially, in my opinion, but I don't have to put in the effort and the time that the guys do to steward it as well. So it's very easy for me to say, but that's just my 2 cents on it.
I can tell you that if you did give the position back, you wouldn't lose any championship points. You'd still have if you found guilty, you would still have the license points put on your license, but in terms of championship points, you wouldn't lose, and I believe it's 20 license points if you do just gain like 1 position through that, or if that other person only loses 1 position, so to say. You change that to if you don't give that position back and you carry on, yeah, it may gain you 5 points in terms of championship on track, but you're losing yourself 15 points in total by having that 20-point reduction for being found guilty. Of course, if he was indeed found guilty. But generally speaking, front to rear contact in any form of motorsport, including virtual motorsport, is frowned upon by the stewards.
Oh, it's slam dunk. It's absolutely slam dunk. You know, if you run into the back of somebody, and it wasn't because Armstrong had moved across. They were both in a straight line, in a braking zone, bang. It just cut and shut there, nice and simple. And this is the thing, is that it's just not as simple as, you know, okay, you can just follow the car in front and save fuel. There is a real art to it, to be able to lift off at the right time, brake at the right time. You know, it's something you almost have to actively practice to be able to get it, because your braking points and your lift off the throttle points, they're all completely different to what they would be if you're on your own. So I think that was just those 2 points converged there, and yeah, it's I do wonder though. I wonder if McFarlane decided to kind of just as soon as he did it, he probably thought, oh god, I'm going to get a penalty for that, and just thought, oh, I've got to get on with it. I've got to push, because I've got to try and recover as best I can. He knows that it's going to be a punishment of some sort.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, do make sure you tune in next week, where we'll see how the championship standings are going into the... I can't believe it, Peter. We are into the final quarter of the championship. This has just flown by once again. Okay, you went and did something inconvenient and went and left me to go, get married. I mean, how selfish of you. But it's certainly... Oh, we've got a car facing the wrong way. That's Martin de Jong. Angry Sheep Sims.
Good flick turn.
Yeah, nice. That certainly gets a 5.9.
Put the traction back on.
Yeah. gets a 5.9 from the British judge. Let's have a look. Was it all by himself? Yes, it was. Touched the grass, into the tyre wall. Around he goes, and then we'll get to see it. So Adam Hedgehog goes past, and whoop, lovely flick turn.
But watch this. He's about to... Whoa! He's like, oh, forgot to put the traction back on again. He just when he asked for the power there, and that turbocharged power of the BMW, it's an inline straight six engine, but the turbocharging is quite aggressive on it, so it is known to eat its tyres a little bit, and that's due to the turbocharged power delivery. So yeah, if you do give it a boot full of throttle, it's quite aggressive.
Alex Davidson moving ahead of Mark Fletcher, so up to 9th place now for your championship leader, your pro championship leader, should I say. And he is carrying on now. 9th place, having to make a recovery drive after his incident down at No Name Corner. I think I've called it about 3 different corner names now, down at Jackie X Corner. But yeah, certainly he is trying to do a bit of a recovery drive. He's got his teammate in Michael Evdoka in front of him. Not that far ahead of him is Jared Caroni, Tom Dadswell. So he could potentially, if things go his way, be looking at still a potential top 6 finish for Alex.
Well, that would be a good recovery. I mean, it was just a tiny mistake, but yeah, quite punishing as well. I'd love to know what Evdoka's going to do here. He's piggy in the middle here. He's thinking, oh, you guys figure this out on your own. Evdoka, is he going to, what does he do? Does he just carry on as normal? Does he pull over and let Davidson by? I'd love to, like I said, I'd love to be in that Pure Sims team room right now.
He's going to have in one ear Alex Davidson going, that's it, just keep the pace up, keep giving me the slipstream. Ross McFarlane in the other ear will be like, no, let him through, let him burn up his fuel. They'll be wanting different things. Well, the 2 teammates and Michael Evdoka will just be thinking, I just need to get a result as possible. Not that it really matters for the team with the lead that they have in the team's championship, but Alex Davidson, great run, and look at that, pull over to the left. Thank you very much. Alex Davidson is going to move forward ahead of Evdoka. Evdoka will get out the throttle midway up the Kemmel Straight, and there you go. Positions changed then. So Davidson saying, I get a good run, get out my way.
Yeah, and that was well judged as well, but you've got to give credit to the Altitude BMW there, to Mark Fletcher. He saw exactly what was happening there, and he had to lift. He compromised his lap time, but he made sure that he didn't run into the back of the 2 Pure Sims Mercedes there. It will be frustrating for Fletcher, but that's really mature driving there as well. He had to anticipate what was going on, and he did so very well.
Well, we have got 37 minutes remaining, and we're getting closer towards the second pit stop of the race. This is the World GT Championship on RaceSpotTV. Paul Smith, Peter Mackay on commentary. Hugo Luis is giving you all the pictures and certainly giving us some tremendous action on track are all these fantastic drivers. Here's another one of those battles. This is for Pro-Am, Andy Archer, Phil Samways. Between the two of them, just a couple of tenths between them. Let's go through a long right-hander at Rivage, head downhill, and elevation change is one big thing that you take away when you do visit this venue, and you certainly get a level of fitness spending 3 or 4 days walking around this venue as well. Again, another thing I can assure you about. These two, 22nd, 23rd overall. Andy Archer up 10 places in this race so far. And in fact, he has gained the most positions in this race. So Andy Archer, a man on the move in this race. He's got ahead of Phil Samways. He'll be trying to pull away now.
Now the Pro-Am title, the race battle is going to light up now. Ethan Critchley has been pulling time out of Jensen Adrianson slowly but surely. It was 10 seconds when they came out the pits last time. It's down to 7. And just as we say that, Jensen Adrianson comes into the pit lane. Now remember, they are on different strategies. Jensen Adrianson's put in about 10 seconds less fuel last time when they came into the pit stop. So this is going to even out again. How will it even out though? That's the question. Who will come out on top after they both completed their pit stop? Judging by the pace in this middle stint, Paul, Critchley's the one who's playing himself a blinder here.
Yeah, certainly his pace has been really impressive, and Jensen tried the alternate strategy with the lighter fuel load. Problem is, we won't get to see how that pans out until another, say, 15-20 minutes, so we've got a little while to wait, but you will not want to go anywhere, folks, because this one could have some exciting finishes in this. You know, you've got Sedgwick and Machuski together out there on track. You've got Dadswell and Caroni together, Davidson, Evdoka and Fletcher together, Simner and Van der Ness, who we're currently seeing right now, they're together out there on track. So there's some really close battles out there on this track. Just to give you up to speed with everything as well. Your top Pro-Am, Ethan Critchley then, 12th place. Next best ones are Simner and Van der Ness that you're seeing on screen right now, 15th and 16th places respectively, should I say. Jack Osborne, your top AM driver, currently in 17th place. He has lost a place now compared to where he started. The next best AM is Martin de Jong down in 23rd place, with Jack Belton 3rd in AM, 25th overall in this race, to give you a little bit of the information of where everyone is out there on track. Jim Whitehouse is onto pit road, as well as Andy Gilmore, so they're getting their final 2 pit stops underway. Jensen Adrianson's, his pit stop time was about 30.5 seconds in the box, so that was his long stop out of the way. So Critchley, should I say, you're looking at about 20-second pit stop for his final stop.
Yeah, and just totaling them up to see who's going to be spending the least amount of time in the box, because then we'll know who's been the most fuel efficient over the course of the race. A hugely important part of endurance motor racing, as the number 137 Tom Dadswell here trying to hold off Jawad Karori. Haven't said much about Jawad today, but they're in 7th place. He's having a strong run in that Merc.
Yeah, up 2 places from where he started. It's worth pointing out Dadswell up 5 places in the Altitude Esports BMW. So Tom, I mean, he did have that little bit of contact, don't forget, earlier on in the race to Tom, but he's finding himself currently 6th place and doing a good job to hold off Caroni. Now, Caroni, I think it's fair to say, hasn't had the best of seasons as well. There's a number of drivers that we could say haven't had the best of seasons, but I think Jared Caroni has been one of those that has been guilty of getting into other people's incidents. Oh, Michael Evdoka's dropping down your order on the left-hand side, and that is why he's in the runoff at Puon. What on earth has happened to Michael Evdoka, the man who started the race in 2nd place, and he's got damage to his rear wing?
Yeah, I wonder if he backed it into the wall there as well. The car doesn't look happy, so let's see. Oh, classic pull on. Oh, hard against the rear right wheel. I don't think the rear right wheel is straight. He just put a wheel into the grass there. You're trying to open up Pouhon corner as much as possible. That is an unforced error. And
he's parked
Michael Avdoka, yeah, he's going to pay the price here. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's trying to get back up to speed. And you can tell, as soon as he comes into this corner, he knows that it's done. Yeah. He knows that car's done. Oh. A race of what could have been, I think, for Michael Avdoka today. As I say, started on the front row of the grid. Had that, as you called it, the virtual wake, the virtual slipstream draft contact that put him off at Malmedy, and then that instant down to Pouhon, and that's just a simple case of just getting the tyre on the grass whilst braking. The two just do not go together at all.
No, and it's so fast. You're tipping it in there in fourth gear, I think it is, in these cars, so it's fast when you come into the double left of Pouhon. So Machuski has not been dropped by Sedgwick. He's been able to sit there behind that Ferrari 488, and what a car to look at for about 45 minutes. A beautiful machine, the Ferrari 488. It's funny, I wouldn't really thank you for one of the road cars, to be honest, Paul. It's a bit flash for me, but it's a cool looking race car.
To be honest, if somebody offered me a Ferrari 488, I'd snap their hand off.
Yeah, you can't get a manual in it though. You need a manual.
I
a manual gearbox.
Care.
It's not like a user manual. I'm sure it's pretty self-explanatory.
I really wouldn't care, Peter, I'll be honest.
I could imagine you driving around Bradford with your flat cap on and your bright red Ferrari 488 Spider. I think it would look good.
There was, for long enough, Jack Tordoff, of course, former rally driver, had a series of showrooms in Bradford, JCT 600, and they did actually have a Ferrari dealership out there in Bradford. So yeah, Porsche dealership, they had all sorts, did JCT 600, as we've got some more cars onto pit road, including Sedgwick and Machuski.
This is going to be interesting as well. So at the first stops, we saw Machuski put in 23.5 seconds of fuel. Sedgwick put in 25, but I think that was more to do with how Sedgwick had to use more fuel. He was doing the heavy lifting a little bit more. Let's see who comes out on top here. Will it be enough of a difference where they'll be separated from each other, or will it just be a change in position? Let's see. It looks like it's in the favour of Machuski at the moment, but you never know what Jack Sedgwick's got up his sleeve, or in the glove box of that Ferrari.
User manual is what we're hearing.
Might well.
Yeah, so, and again, long old pit lane. I mean, they've been on pit road 50 seconds and they've still not made it to their pit stall. That tells you how long and how painful this pit lane is on the pit limiter.
They might as well put one of those like barriers that you get at the airport where you have to like you tap it with your credit card, then it goes up and down. They could give you like a pack of a cone of chips, and you could eat the chips as you go down the pit lane, and you'll be finished them by the time you go back onto the racetrack again.
Sedgwick then, when does he go? When does Machuski go as well? The answer is now. Oh, they're pretty much even as well. Ooh. So Sedgwick has been able to save himself a little bit of fuel again. And Machuski ending up behind.
That is interesting. They're basically coming out exactly as they entered. In fact, Sedgwick, do you know, Sedgwick's pulling a good gap on that pit end. It's quite a complex pit exit. You know, you're hard right, hard left, and Sedgwick making a great run out of it. And look at that. He's just straight on it, and he's pulled 3 or 4 car lengths on Machuski. And
crucially, he's got a car between them as well. That's a key thing. I mean, lap traffic. I mean, generally, lap traffic does get out the way for you. Machuski's going to go down the inside into Rivage. There you go. But it's still just those couple of corners where you're behind that lap traffic. It just holds you back. Whereas Sedgwick can just focus on himself, focus on getting his line right, and pull out just even a tenth or two when you've got that traffic there. So definitely working out for Jack. So they are two that have made their second pit stop. And we'll just have to wait and see now. Be patient to see who else is going to head onto pit road. But we are very much into that final phase of the race. Josh Thompson now with a 16. That's right, 16 second lead. Almost going to 17 seconds right now over Ross McFarlane. McFarlane, well, he's got nobody to play with at the moment, so he's just going to have to do lift and coast on his own. James Armstrong is in third place, 3 seconds back from Ross. So even after that contact, James hasn't really lost much time, actually. They've stayed pretty much even since that contact down at the source.
Yeah, just bits and pieces there, I think. Yeah, but we're running out of superlatives for Josh Thompson. He is, and the thing is, he's not 17 seconds ahead on a strategy that's got to come back. He's on the same strategy as Ross McFarlane. I mean, and this is our defending champion. This is someone who is second in the points right now and very close to the top of the points. But Thompson's making them all look pretty ordinary at the moment as well. He is just in one of these days where you get a driver and a car and a circuit where everything clicks together. And this is why one of the top outfits in virtual motorsport, Team Redline, have signed Josh, because this is what he is capable of. When it all just comes together, is unbeatable, and that's the form he's in tonight.
And that is a sign of a good driver. The thing is, the sign of a great driver is somebody who can make it all work together when things aren't quite all clicking together. And Josh, you know, I'm one of his fans. I really like how he drives the car, how aggressive he can be. Really throws some moves. He's respectful as well, though. I mean, I've raced against him in this championship years ago when I was actually racing this championship. Whenever he came up behind me, he knew he didn't have it easy because I would defend a place, but he knew that he could race me because I would give him the space, and vice versa, he would give me the space as well. So if it's somebody that he knows and the drivers that he respects, he can really race hard and fair with people, and he can have some really good races. It's just, unfortunately, when he has a bad day, he has an awful day.
Yeah, it is. That's the difference. But who knows? Performances like this, they can change the whole narrative of a season, a career, everything. I mean, this is, in my time of commentating on virtual motorsport, I've very rarely seen at this level such a dominant performance at the front. The difference in lap time is enormous. To pull an 18-second gap away from defending champion Ross McFarlane and various other fast drivers, just remarkable. Remarkable.
It reminds me of Luke McEwen last season.
Yeah, that level of dominance. Yeah, for certain. Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it before as well. People like Moreno Sarica have come in and just been on another level and been able to just pull away at the front. And there's just always one race in the season where they just seem to find that, you know, people are there finding half a tenth, maybe 100th here and there. They're finding half a second compared to other people. It is just absolutely incredible the level that people can do and these performances that can come out of these top drivers. And it is a highly competitive championship. That's why people queue up to race in this championship. It is one of the higher up private leagues in terms of quality of racing, but also it's not just purely for those pro drivers. It's a series that encourages everybody to race in it, and I think actually the series is stronger for that.
No question about it. I think you wouldn't have the grid size because there just, you know, there isn't that level of depth, but B, the atmosphere in the community would be completely different. I think that's a huge part of it. I mean, look at something like in the outdoor world, look at the IMSA WeatherTech Championship or the World Endurance Championship. That is not all pro drivers either. You know, there's actually probably less pro drivers than there is drivers who are there for a hobby basis. Yeah, perfect example. Yeah, so that's how sports car racing works. That's how the financial model works for it as well. Leader in pit lane, Josh Thompson, absolutely dominant today, and this should just be routine pit stop. This is where make sure that you've got that limiter glued on. Make sure don't want to throw anything at it now. Just get into your pit stop. You've got time in hand. and fill it up and carry on again.
Do you know what, Peter? I once did a 4-hour endurance race as part of a championship that we used to show on RaceSpotTV. Spirit of VLN, it's years ago, was this championship now. And I started the race, came into pit road, long old pit road, and we were actually before the source, parked the car, handed over, service gets done, teammate pulls it out, down through the source, down the pit road, onto pit exit, stuck in pit limiter because he didn't have a pit limiter button binded, so therefore he did the entire lap on pit limiter, came back into the pits, went and quickly set himself a pit limiter button, and then went back out and carried on racing.
Oh no,
8.5 minute lap if you want to know how long it takes to go around this track on pit limiter.
On the limiter the whole way through. Literally on the rev limiter as well.
I know Hugo will be remembering that broadcast particularly.
Oh dear. Now, we were waiting. Now Ethan Critchley is in the pit lane, and this has big ramifications for the Pro-Am battle. We saw Adrianson's take 30.5 seconds of fuel. Now Critchley will be a lot less than that. He's already done his long pit stop. So where is Critchley going to come out in comparison to Adrianson's? In total, Adrianson's took across his 2 stops 50.3 seconds. Machuski a little bit further up the field, 46.6. Cedric took 48, but at that last stop, I tell you what, I think Jack Cedric, he will be hoping that this doesn't go a lot longer than he thinks it will, because he's running that Ferrari pretty tight on the fuel, I reckon. We'll see as... Oh, now, who's that into the back? Is that Davidson? Or is that
BMW? Has that BMW just blown its engine? No, it hasn't.
Not sure, but
there was
Davidson
a lot of smoke.
Hard into the back of... Now, who's that in front of him? It's Jack Felton. Son, sorry. Oh, Davidson ploughed into the back of him, so that's going to give both 4 incident points and potentially some damage.
Oh, now.
That looks okay. But
yeah, if he's not used his fast repair, I might suggest that he'll take it this pit stop. The drivers do get a free repair in this championship. It's another part of this championship which encourages people to carry on racing even if they have had a bit of an incident in this one. Do you know what, to me that car doesn't look too bad actually. McFarlane is in his pit box, by the way. He's having his pit stop. Ethan Critchley took 19 seconds on his pit stop and he's out and away.
He's come out ahead quite significantly, so he's 8.5 seconds ahead, and I'm just going to refresh my timing screen. 9 seconds ahead. Critchley leads from Adrianson's at the moment, so it's been a great strategical play then, and great pace from Ethan Critchley. Get the tissues out.
As we carry on, there is Ethan himself out the bus stop chicane and across the line for another lap in the books, because there's a few Pro-Ams, Mark Hutchinson, Andy Archer, Ben Gregory all on pit road right now. So Ethan, well, he's got Chris van der Ness in 5th place yet to stop, but I would hazard a guess and say that Ethan Critchley will be your top Pro-Am driver on the track in this one. Martin de Jong and Adam Hedgecock, I think these two have been pretty much glued together all race. Even when de Jong was facing the wrong way, Hedgecock made his way past, don't forget. As Hedgecock looking to the left, all the way through there for the time being in that Ferrari. They will go across the line, start another lap for those two. So those two of Hedgecock and de Jong have made their final pit stop as well in all of this. Armstrong and Caroni, they are onto pit road right now. So James Armstrong making his final pit stop. Will he be able to get any sort of jump over Ross McFarlane? Because there were about 3 seconds between those two on track. Tom Dadswell and Alex Davidson still pretty close together as well, as they see those cars at pit lane speed limit. And onto pit road as well comes Pete Harrod in that Century Sim racing car. But look at these two, absolutely together, nose to tail. Tom Dadswell, Alex Davidson. This is where you start needing to think now as you get into that final 17 minutes, you need to start thinking, I need to make some moves forward here, and Alex Davidson will want to do that for all the championship points he can get.
Well, Davidson, looking at, I think the Mercedes, although it may be a little bit nervous, it appears to have the advantage on fuel economy. All of the Mercedes drivers are taking about they're taking 4 seconds less fuel than Thompson and the Porsche, about 3 or 4 seconds less fuel than the BMWs of Adriansons and Critchley, and a couple of seconds less fuel than Cedric over the course of the race. So those Mercedes there in both Machuski, Davidson, McFarlane, they've all appeared to have a bit of an edge. But here comes Davidson now as well. Doesn't appear to be anything wrong with the straight line speed, so he's maybe taking his quick repair. Up the Kemmel Straight they go, and mirror signal manoeuvre there as well. Now, who has got the fuel timing right? Because it's a long lap here at Spa. If we get to the point where we go deep into overtime and we go a lap longer than the drivers have expected, that could be the difference between making the end of the race and conking out on the last lap.
And we've seen it before in this championship as well. Drivers getting the fuel numbers wrong, and they will be busy crunching the numbers. And there's only one driver who actually owes us a pit stop now, and that's Chris van der Ness, who currently finds himself in second place, 9 seconds behind Josh Thompson, but he does, as I say, owe us a pit stop. Jack Sedgwick, get this, 15.5 seconds behind Josh Thompson. I mean, yeah, you said it earlier. We've run out of superlatives to describe Josh Thompson this race. Absolutely magnificent, his performance at the front. It's all about who finishes second, who finishes fourth in this race as well, because Armstrong and McFarlane, interested to see Armstrong did actually jump Ross McFarlane in the pit stop cycle. So the BMW is ahead of Mercedes as well. So Armstrong doing a good job, and McFarlane, it's not quite worked out for him today, has it? He's normally the king of the strategy, but today it's just not working for him. No, it hasn't. And unless we saw McFarlane letting Armstrong by off camera to try and avoid the penalty, but really you have to do it there and then, don't you, if you are going to do any of that? So I don't think that'll be the case. Yeah, it's not going well. I mean, for pure, who would have thought we wouldn't have any pure Sims Mercedes looking at the podium? We're not even close to that yet. So yeah, big surprise. It has to be said, but Josh Thompson, Josh Thompson winning the race is not necessarily a surprise. By this margin, I think it's surprising, probably even Josh himself. I mean, just sheer dominance. Also, you've got to take a big off of the cap to Jack Cedric in the Ferrari as well. Yeah. I mean, that is a stunning drive from him as well. Machuski also been making 3 manufacturers on the podium as things stand. In fact, 4 in the top 4 as things stand. So the balance of performance looking pretty good. But dangerous me. We talked about how good the chips are at Spa. We need to put a bag of potatoes in Josh's car to slow him down. Absolutely. I mean, you could cook some chips on the engine of that Porsche, that is for sure. Air dried, naturally.
Flat 6 fried.
Worth pointing out, Jensen Adriansons has come out ahead of Chris van der Ness, who'd done the longest stints of anybody out there here today. So van der Ness just 15 seconds in the stall for his final pit stop, brings him out third in class, 15th overall. So is Ethan Critchley then your top Pro-Am in 11th place? Jensen Adriansons 14th overall, second in class with van der Ness right behind him, third in class. And looking further down, now speaking of where is Mr. Osborne? He's in 19th. So Jack Osborne has actually been slowly falling back a little bit, as he is Adam Hedgecock trying to make some moves on Martin de Jong. And this is, of course, the battle for second and third in class. 23rd, 24th overall between the two of them. And de Jong feeling that he has to go defensive here. And the inside, nope, not going to happen. And that's the thing, with that corner at Rivage, you can take those different lines. You can either hug the apex, or you can really V out the corner to get the corner exit.
Yeah, and you can be able to defend quite hard there as well, as Martin de Jong was doing there as well. Tell you what, looking at the championship points, it's all shuffling around. McFarlane 2 places ahead of Davidson. That's going to reduce the, or at least provisionally reduce the gap between them with 2 rounds to go. In the AM Championship, we could actually get a switch because Chris van den Ness is 3rd in the Pro-Am at the moment, 15th overall, whereas the championship leader, Paul Webster, is outside the top 30. So I think, yes, we will get a change in the Pro-Am standings, with Van den Ness going into the lead for Evo SR. Then in AM, Jesse Ben Wilkins leads the points at the moment. How's that going to play out, I wonder?
Well, Jesse is missing this week.
Yeah,
and of course, drop scores do come into play. Don't forget, so they do have 2 drop scores across the championship, and so it is your worst 2 results that you do get taken off. Thankfully for us, in the commentary box, we get it nice and easy for the final round of the championship at the Nürburgring, because no drop scores count on that final week. So we get to actually decide who a champion is on the final day, which is one of the things that I like about this championship.
Thank goodness for that. I don't think my little brain could. I was having to deal with rallycross points yesterday.
Oh my goodness,
and it was frying my brain. Yes, the final of the BTRDA Rallycross Championship at Knockhill. It was, I say, it was the first time I've had the Rallycross cars on since the circuit was scanned for iRacing. Of course, the full circuit and the Rallycross section as well. So, wonder if any of the drivers are using it to prepare, as Hedgecock has a little look up to try and get past de Jong, but de Jong just placing that BMW exactly where it needs to. But you'll have to cover the inside there. Hedgecock looked like he's really got the pace here in the Ferrari, but just cannot find a way past that big BMW of Martin de Jong.
And it certainly is a big car, that is for sure. That Ferrari, though, looks nimble, but unfortunately, just not able to get past. You're absolutely right there, Peter. As they go through Poor once again. Hedgecock going slightly wide and not making any ground. Now Ross McFarlane and Jacob Machursky have actually changed place out on track, and McFarlane's not that far behind Armstrong. So Machursky, what's happened to Machursky? Because he's lost ground. He was in 3rd place and he's lost 2 places there. Was it a slow down penalty at Eau Rouge Radion?
I think so, because his last lap isn't a problem, 2:15.1. We'll look at the lap time when he comes around. I think that's exactly what's happened, Paul. That's a key critical place. Let's have a look then.
So this is into La Source. No, it's fine through La Source. So let's see what happens here. How does he lose these 2 places? Because Armstrong and McFarlane are behind. Thank you very much to Hugo for giving us these views. And, well, no, that's not. I think it's just going to be the sheer slipstream. Here comes Armstrong. And yeah, he's on the brakes. He's letting him. Oh, no, he must have a slow down penalty. He's on the brakes there. So, yeah, ever so slightly over the line there. That was harsh.
Not by much.
Yeah.
Not by much, but they all know how harsh it is. So, it's he'll have known as soon as he'll have gone, oh, please no. And then you get that horrible orange line comes across saying, yeah, you got to slide in. We've all, that horrible voice.
We've all done it.
We've all done it. Of course we have, yeah. And, that's frustrating. You're almost wondering if he was maybe struggling on fuel, perhaps, but yeah, the tapping the brakes on the straight is definitely a sign that he had to serve a slowdown penalty. That's Christmas Day for Ross McFarlane. That just gains him a critical position over Davison, and now McFarlane right on the back of Armstrong. So this is the fight for the last spot on the podium now. Cedric is away in 2nd, and McFarlane with potentially the penalty that might be looming over him for that moment at La Source with Armstrong, ironically enough, about an hour ago. these points are so important at this stage of the championship. He's got to try and find a way past Armstrong here if he can.
Yeah, and he needs to do it cleanly. Last thing you want is to get involved in another incident
one
with the same driver. I mean, you say that Cedric is away in front of him. He's not that far in front of them, though, is he? Really, it's only 2 seconds. One little mistake, maybe catching traffic in the wrong place in the track. Although saying that, if ever there's a bad spot to catch traffic, it's through this next section, through the Fania chicane. And yeah, Armstrong just having to brake a little bit and then into Stavolo. Right-hander, get the car set up over the exit curve Paul Freya, past the karting track. I've never actually been on the karting track here, but you always see it. They always show it on the helicopter shots whenever you see coverage from motorsport around here. People on the karting track and through Blanchimont. It is incredible to stand there on the inside of the circuit and just watch those cars going through that flat chat onto the brakes into the bus stop chicane. And so far, there's James Armstrong then, giving us a look at himself, and McFarlane not getting a good launch out to the bus stop chicane.
No, not at all. There is looking at the track maps behind James Armstrong. I think that's Nordschleife and Daytona. Top one looks like Daytona, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I've actually got Daytona and Knockhill. Right, my good pal Ryan Parkins 3D printed them for me.
See, if I was to do that, it'd have to be Alton Park. I'm sorry, it's
the good one to choose.
It's the place that I first ever watched any motorsport is Alton Park. I was 10 years old. It was the British touring cars in 1994. Yes, I am aging myself right now.
Oh, but what an era to go, though. I was the same British touring cars 2 or 3 years after that at Knockhill, and the die was cast.
It was actually the round of the championship where Alfa Romeo decided to withdraw out of protest at having their wings dropped. Because there was the controversy over the Alfa 155 Silverstone with the wings that in the road car came as a boot full of spares. They weren't actually attached to the road car, but that was how they got around the homologation rules.
Oh, politics in racing, especially in big money in mid-90s British touring car racing.
Jim Whitehouse has had an issue as Adam Watson makes it past Ethan Critchley. But I did see Jim Whitehouse's number come up flash yellow on my track map. So he's had an issue out there somewhere. But we do carry on. We are into the final 5 minutes of this one. It has been an intriguing race here in the World GT Championship, and that's what happened. He was all over the curbs and, just the slightest of contact with the tyre barrier, but it should be okay to finish the race. But yeah, this has been an intriguing round of the championship, and Josh Thompson, I mean, 17 seconds clear at the moment and growing is that gap. His lap time, his best lap, by the way, 2:13.986. He's the only driver to get into the 2-minute 13s. Every other driver out there is either 2:14s or higher. Incredible.
He's just smoked everyone. This is pure and simple. He has absolutely smoked the field. As Josh Thompson, amazing performance, one that will go down in the World GT Championship history books as one of the most dominant performances we've seen in many, many seasons. I mean, hats off to Josh and Team Redline. Great run from Jack Cedric in second as well. But can James Armstrong hang on to that third position for Brabham Esports? That would be a great score for that team to get an overall podium in a race like this. Phil, who's that ahead of Phil Samways? It's going very wide over the gravel. Now, have we had any drive-throughs for incident points after we were all saying it'll definitely happen, and we've all been keeping an eye on it?
No, everybody's been behaving. That's Timothy Broke, by the way, in front of Phil. Phil trying to have a little bit of a recovery drive from earlier on with that contact earlier on in the race. And these two getting very close, it must be said. Onto the brakes. Not quite as late on the brakes as Timothy Broke in front. through the bus stop chicane. 2.5 minutes remaining in this one. Josh Thompson is just coming around towards Blanchimont at this point, so we should only get one more lap to go in this race. Down the inside goes Samways to gain a position. Through he goes. So the full tilt V Motorsport outfit gaining position then, and Phil Samways
the white
up a
flag.
place. And oh, that was Van der Ness, wasn't it? Losing position. Anton Adriansons and Richard Simner. So Simner's now to 3rd place in Pro-Am, 15th place overall, and Van der Ness just dropped back. Is he having to look after fuel? Meanwhile, Van Broek's not giving this one up with Samways round the outside at Lecombe and at Malmedy. And you can do it at Malmedy. Get in front, close the door if you can. He doesn't need to. He's ahead into Rivage. That's some good driving from both drivers.
Yeah, good racing. Really good and entertaining racing there. Samways has to duck back in behind in the Audi. Yeah, I think those who are nervous about fuel numbers, their saviour has come, because I think we're just going to finish pretty much on the moment, maybe a minute on overtime. So it could have, if Josh Thompson had come over the line with 10 seconds left on the clock and have to go all the way around again, then that would be an extra lap. But it doesn't look like we're going to push that extra lap here as well. And those who are tight on fuel, they'll be breathing a big sigh of relief.
Certainly will, as we carry on. These two, they're inseparable at the moment. They'll get the white flag. One more lap to go for them as they reach the end of the lap. And you want to be ahead on that final lap. It's as simple as that in a race like this. Simner around the outside of Adriansons. He's got Brian Sohn there. He's given a little bit of a block almost. Simner ahead, so gets ahead, but this is going into a Rouge Radio. Meanwhile, Samways still battling it out here. And, well, Timothy Brook doing a good job. Oh, they're doing the old little bit of Senna Mansell there, psyching each other out, getting close together into the brakes. Meanwhile, up at the top of the hill, the Pro-Ams, they're duking it out. This is for the final Pro-Am positions in the podium. And that is Simner, who's got ahead. Meanwhile, Josh Thompson, well, what can we say? He's dominated this race. It's that simple. The Team Redline driver, he is victorious here today. He knows it. He's happy. He's got a smile like a Cheshire cat right now. He's delighted with that performance, and who can blame him? It was imperious here today. Meanwhile, still the battles carry on. Samways! Oh, Timothy Brook and Samways still together. And somehow they keep it out the wall. Oh, this is going to be interesting. That's Dadswell and Davidson. Davidson needs the position. He needs the points. But Tom Dadswell, is he going to outrun him across the line? The answer is yes.
8th place then for Davidson, but good news for Davidson. His teammate Ross McFarlane was held off by James Armstrong. A podium for Armstrong and Brabham Esports. And what about this young man, Ethan Critchley? What a drive. Dominates the Pro-Am class, played the strategy perfectly. Great pace late in the race, manages tyres well. Superb.
Yeah, absolutely superb. Brilliant stuff from him. There's your race winner then. They've been doing donuts. Oh, Adrianson's deep.
Christmas Day for Van der Ness. Christmas Day for not Christmas Day. Boxing Day. Oh no.
That's one way of describing it. But Richard Simner says, thank you very much. I'll take that position. That's 2nd place in Pro-Am. Van der Ness does get 3rd place in Pro-Am. Look back, because there's Jack Osborne as well. He's going to cross the line for Am. But these two, Samways and Timothy Brook, they're still neck and neck into the bus stop chicane. They've been inseparable the last couple of laps. Oh, Samways had to get out of that one. He realised it wasn't on, and it's going to be Timothy Brook who finishes ahead just at the line. My goodness, it all kicked off at the end there, Peter.
Wow, that was free kick for Van der Ness there. Could have ended up in tears though, but wow, yeah, Van der Ness He's only 5 points behind in the Pro-Am Championship coming into this race from Paul Webster. That finish will put him into the lead of the Pro-Am Championship. 2 rounds to go. And as to your point earlier, Paul, this is why the World GT Championship is so cool. We've got a fight in Pro, we've got a fight in Pro-Am, and let's throw the Am class in there for great measure. Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look then at your results then, pending any post-race investigations by stewards. It is Josh Thompson. I don't think he's got anything to worry about. He is the winner by 18.9 seconds in that Team Redline Porsche, ahead of Jack Sedgwick for Inex Racing in his Ferrari, with James Armstrong, Brabham Esports, another podium for him in his BMW, just about a second and a change behind Jack Sedgwick actually. Ross McFarlane then for Pure Sims Esports, he'll be happy taking those points over his teammate, 4th place overall for him, when the two Maradna Satellite E-Stars teammates there of Jacob Machuski and Jared Macaroni then in 5th and 6th place. Tom Dadswell in 7th ahead of Alex Davidson, who came into this round as your Pro Championship leader, 8th place for him overall. Yannis Albert and Mark Fletcher round out your top 10. 11th place for Adam Watson. He had a good race in that one. 11 places gained for him. Ethan Critchley, your top Pro-Am driver for Century Sim Esports, 12th place overall, ahead of his teammate Pete Harrod from Century Sim Racing. Richard Simnett, we saw that right at the death there. It nearly was a death as well with the bus stop chicane, but Simner comes out on top for DCW Racing to finish 2nd in Pro-Am, 14th overall, ahead of Chris van der Ness for Evo SR. Big day for him in the Pro-Am Championship. Jensen Adriansen's just missing out for Indy Autosport Red, ahead of Mark Hutchinson, Matthias Drozda, who it was a bit of a recovery drive for him, Andy Archer, and then your top Am, Jack Osborne for Century Sim Racing. Great result for him in his championship. Timothy van der Broek, then we saw in that battle with Phil Samways in the final couple of laps, it goes the way of Timothy in that one. Adam Hedgecock managed to beat out Martin de Jong in the end then to finish 2nd in Am for Altitude Esports Blue, ahead of Martin de Jong with an Angry Sheep Sims car. And then everyone else either finished 1 lap down or did not finish. So Ben Gregory, Matt Woodhouse, Lars van Rijn, Jim Whitehouse, Jack Belton and Paul Crawford rounding out the top 30, with Patrick Faulkner, Andy Gilmore, Brian Sohan 1 lap down each. Paul Webster ends up 6 laps down after having internet connection issues earlier on in the race, and then these drivers did not finish after having various issues. Michael Ovdoka, Ed May, Michael Gray, Michael Blake, Alex Gall, that's a big one for him. Jeroen Kaiser very early on, a victim of Blanchimont, and Jonathan Walker did not take the start. But what a race it was for one man, the man who won the race. And, well, I think without further ado, Peter, we need to have a word with your race winner. Peter, take it away with Josh Thompson.
Josh, welcome to the RaceSpotTV commentary box. That was an incredible drive. Did you quite expect to have such an advantage out there today?
To be honest, yes, with how the car is at the moment. I knew the car was very strong in the second phase of every stint. I knew it was going to be tough at the start. Obviously, like you saw with Avdoka, could sit there behind me for like half the first stint. Whilst the Merc was very good on its tyres, but I knew once it got later into a stint, I knew the Porsche would come back into its own. And especially with the tyre wear, I just looked after the tyres at the start, and yeah, after that, the thing was a rocket ship. So, not really much to say about how the car was.
It's just amazing. I mean, what is it that's changed with the car, Josh? Because, you know, we've seen the Mercedes be so dominant early in the season. Those guys look like they were struggling today. What's changed with the Porsche that's brought that performance?
To be honest, it's a few things. The main one for me was the traction, especially like middle to end of a stint. Like even in like stint 3, I could still do the lap. Like even at the end of the race, I could still go for the fastest lap, no issue at all. It just has so much traction over the stint. It's like the rear tires never drop off. Also, the tyre pressures don't seem to go as high as the other cars, so you keep them in that nice window. You've got so much grip in the mid-speed to high-speed as well, so if you keep it all in line, like at the start, like just looked after them a little bit, the car's just got so much more potential in like mid-corner and exits. So after that, I think the Mercedes doesn't really have much to say. I think qualifying it's a bit closer. Like, as you saw in qualifying, it wasn't much of a difference, but over a long run, I think the Porsche's coming in its own with the tyre wear.
I mean, heading into next week, we've got a feature race at Silverstone. Would you say that the same advantages are going to play off there, would you say?
I think so. I honestly think the Porsche will be better there than it was here. With how, especially about the first sector of the lap and stuff, I think just that is just going to be Porsche territory. Also, we know Silverstone's always been really strong, like with tyre wear, especially in the BMW. Like a few seasons ago, I really struggled with tyre wear there. So I think the Mercedes will be in the same boat. I think it'll be a bit further off than it is here, which is quite worrying, to be honest.
Well, I think most importantly of all, we want to say, Josh, well done, because the car can be one thing, but you still got to get in and drive it, and you certainly did that today. Huge congratulations. Some super driving out there. Well done.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really say much more. It was just an utterly dominant display from Josh out there today. And, well, I mean, listening to that, he's going to have even more fun next week.
Wow, that's an ominous thought for his rivals. The thing is, though, Paul, I mean, our two Pro Championship runners are in the same car. They're in the Mercedes. It's the same for everyone. They'll very likely have the same setup on the car, given they run for the same team, or at least more or less the same. So we do have a nice even playing field for our championship battle. But can anyone stop Josh Thompson in the feature race? Of course, feature race, we've got, they'll qualify in grid order, but then with the reverse grid, it again gets thrown up. That's when World GT gets really interesting. Let's see.
Yeah, absolutely. You will not want to miss that one. Next week on RaceSpotTV from 8 o'clock British Summer Time. Well, actually, will it be British Summer Time? No, because the clocks changed, don't they, next week? So we'll have to double check the timings on that, but it should be 8 o'clock anyway, UK time, for that one. To do check that out. Always check out the RaceSpotTV YouTube for the official timing of that broadcast. But what a day it's been in the World GT Championship. Dominant display from Josh Thompson, but let's not forget Ethan Critchley in Pro-Am. Fantastic work from him. And Jack Osborne, another really good display in AM, taking those particular class wins. Until next time, from me, Paul Smith, from Peter Mackay, Hugo Luis behind the scenes, this has been the World GT Championship on RaceSpotTV. We'll see you in a week's time.